so we are on to my second Best in Beauty video 2017. This is focusing on new to me products. If you missed my first video, I will link it down below. That video talked about the Best in Beauty 2017 new products that were launched. So things that launched from brands in 2017. Today, we're going to focus on things that aren't necessarily new, but were new to my collection and really impressed me this year. These were products that I was reaching for consistently, that I was traveling with for work, and in general just really impressed me. So that is today's video. We have a third and a fourth video coming, so look forward to that. The next video is going to focus on products that are old-time favorites, things that are classic products in my collection that I continue to use this year, and I felt like they needed acknowledgement, especially in light of the fact that we are constantly inundated with new products one after another. It's always good to go back and reflect on those products that are just staples in our collection that really make a big difference in our beauty routines. So if you like today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I'm a fairly new channel here on YouTube, but I'm going to be making content consistently next year, and I look forward to having you a part of the Beauty Hub, as I'm calling it, and I hope you guys are having a great day, and without further ado, let's get into more favorites. Similar to the last video, we're going to go through these products kind of as how I would apply them to my face. So first up, let's talk about some foundations. I don't have any primers that I tried that fit into this category that I loved, but I did try some foundations that are not new to the market but are new to me. Let's start with a Korean BB cream. This is the Missha Perfect Cover BB cream. I am in the shade number 21. They don't have a ton of shades in these. That is the one downside of buying Korean beauty BBs. But this is a cult classic in Korea, and for good reason. I found mine out on Amazon, but there's a number of websites where you can purchase this. I'll link a few down below. This is one of those BB creams that just melts into the skin and gives really strong coverage. So this is not a tinted moisturizer. I would say this gives medium to medium full coverage depending on how you blend it out. It was actually designed by dermatologists in Korea who are helping women to get past going through some really heavy exfoliations or laser peels on their skin. They actually designed this to help soothe and heal the skin while providing really nourishing benefits and smoothing out any of the redness that they were having. I definitely think this is worth its cult status. If this comes in a shade that appeals to you, or that would work for you rather, it's worth trying. I think this is every bit as good as the IT Cosmetics CC cream. In fact, part of me thinks now, because this was actually out first, that IT Cosmetics CC cream may have modeled what they did with their CC cream after this. I could be wrong, but I think that there's definitely some similarities between those two products. A traditional foundation that I fell in love with this year is actually from No. 7. In fact, No. 7 does foundations so well. I've tried all of their foundations at this point. This is my favorite, but I have to be honest, I really like all of them. This is the No. 7 Stay Perfect Foundation. This is for all skin types. It says it is medium coverage. It has SPF 15. I am in the shade Calico. I think it's a really pretty shade match for me. It's not too pink, it's not too yellow, it's very neutral in the middle. This is one of those foundations that, because it went on so smoothly and looked so hydrating when it first went on, I assumed that it would never live up to its Stay Perfect Longwear claims. I was totally wrong. This is a foundation that I wore when we were in DC this summer, and it was like 95 degrees and 90% humidity, and we were hot and we were sweaty and we were getting rained on, and we would go back to the room at the end of the day and I was shocked because my foundation would look as good as it did when I put it on in the morning. I do powder lightly with this. When I had those kinds of results, I was actually using the Cover FX Perfect Setting Powder, which I talked about in the last video. I really, really, really like this. I think it gives a very natural finish to the skin. It's not too dewy, it's not too matte. It's once again one of those very skin-like foundations, which is kind of my preference, if I'm going to be honest. And in the process, just gives a beautiful coverage without looking heavy or cakey. So highly recommend this guy. And the one that I broke down and got was actually from Estee Lauder, is their stick foundation. It is the Teint Idole Ultra Wear Makeup Stick Foundation. It has SPF 21. They call this a soft matte finish. I would agree with that. It has a kind of velvety texture. If you've tried the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Stick Foundation and found it to be too hydrating or potentially break down on you too easily, this is probably what I would recommend. I think it gives a very smooth velvet finish to the skin, but unlike a lot of matte foundations, it doesn't cling to dry patches. It doesn't do any sort of weird clumping or really heavy cakey look. It just blends into the skin seamlessly. These little stick foundations, I know they tend to be more expensive per ounce because you're not getting a full ounce in here like you would with a normal foundation. However, these are so handy for travel because obviously they don't count towards your liquids. So you could take this in a suitcase, or take this on a carry-on rather, very easily. And then it just is a very easy way to apply makeup quickly. I think this is definitely one of my stick foundations I would reach for when traveling, especially if I know I'm going into a warmer area where I might like a little bit more of that velvety sort of soft matte finish. I would probably reach for this. If I was going to more of a cold weather or drier climate, I would probably reach for my Makeup Forever stick foundation instead. But I really, really enjoy this, and I totally understand the hype now. This may come as a bit of a shock, but I actually don't have a highlighter to talk about. I have a bronzer and a couple blushes to discuss, but most of the highlighters I tried this year were actually new to the market. So let's talk instead about the one bronzer I wanted to bring up, and this is actually from Bobbi Brown. This is in the shade Telluride. And it's a really interesting bronzer because it has a really interesting, almost reddish undertone to it. And one of the interesting things about Bobbi Brown is that they really spent some time thinking about how did people tan, right? So not everybody is going to go very warm, sort of orangish colored when they tan, right? So some people, like myself, when they bronze or when they get tan, actually pull a little bit more red. And you'd think that would be a very unflattering thing to do, to pull a more sort of plummy reddish color bronzer onto your face. What I found is that this actually looks incredibly natural on me. When I want to bronze my whole face, this is actually a shade that does that in a way that looks incredibly natural. So I picked this up after watching Tara Babies on YouTube talk about this bronzer in particular and how well it worked on her fair skin. I know it's a bit of a risk because it's Bobbi Brown, it's not drugstore, but it's a really interesting take on bronzing for fair skin that I really enjoyed this year. Okay, I lied. I kind of have a second bronzer to talk about. This is from E.L.F. This is their Aqua line. This is their bronzer and blush in pink beige. They do this in two other colors that get significantly deeper as they go. This is a cream bronzer and blush. These blend so well and last all day. They have kind of a squishy kind of, I want to say color pop consistency, but not exactly. But they blend out on the skin incredibly well. I use a large stipple brush for the bronzer, and then I use a smaller stipple brush for the blush. They don't stay sticky, they don't stay greasy, they really set to a powder finish. And then once they are on your face, they lock down. These are ones that I absolutely trust in the summertime when it's super hot outside, not to melt off my face. They also blend in and just look very, very natural because it's a cream product versus another powder on your face. These perform like some high-end products. I've actually seen people compare this to the Chanel, Tan de Chanel bronzer that's out there, and I've seen some dupe videos where it looks pretty clear like this might be a dupe for it. So these I can find at my local Target now, so I would highly recommend looking at these. I think they're going to have a combination that matches any particular skin tone. And then another E.L.F. blush worth mentioning is Mellow Mauve. This is part of their Studio line. This is just a very nice sort of neutral, dusty mauve color. As you can see, I have really dug into this guy. I've used the heck out of this. This is one of those blushes that matches everything, just kind of gives a nice glow to the skin because it has a satin feel to it, but it's not necessarily super shiny. So if you don't like a really glowy blush, you might still like this. It blends out really, really easily. It's buildable. It's not one of those blushes that's overly pigmented where you put your brush in and then you put it on your face and it's immediately just like, shh. I frequently want to use this every single day. In fact, if I had to pick one blush to use every single day, it might be this one. I love it that much. So for $3, it's definitely worth picking up the next time you see E.L.F. at a local drugstore. And then the last blush swings the opposite direction, and it's the super fancy Marc Jacobs blush. This is in the shade Flesh and Fantasy. It is another one of those sort of nude blushes. Why I like this one is that it actually is a combination of matte and shimmer. So you've got these very matte, sort of neutrally peachy brown colors down at this end, and then you've got more of this sort of champagne gold color at this end, and you can really swirl it all together and get a really nice glowy blush. But you can control how much glow and then how much depth you have based on where you're focusing your brush. This is another one that I've traveled with a dozen times. I feel like the packaging is really sturdy. It has a snap closure, and then you kind of have to push the button to get it open. Like I said, I've traveled with this a ton and it has held up beautifully. Another one of those just easy, everyday, kind of looks boring in the pan, but makes your skin just look really healthy and radiant once you've put it on. Let's talk brows. When I wasn't using the ColourPop shade in Dope Taupe in that brow pomade we talked about in the last video, I was reaching for this. This is the Brow Archery from Soap and Glory. What I like about this is it is really travel friendly. So on one end you have sort of a small angled brow pencil. It's great for quickly filling in. I really love this sort of universal taupe shade. It's not too warm, it's not too cool, works really well with my skin tone. It allows me to lightly feather towards the beginning of my brow and go a little heavier and deeper towards the tail. And then on the opposite end, you actually get a clear brow gel with a spoolie so that you can kind of set your brows in place. It's a very quick and easy way to get your brows done while traveling and have it all in one product. Highly recommend this one. If you can find a shade that matches, they really just do two universal shades, one that's meant for lighter blonder tones and then this one. So if you can find a shade that works for you, these are great. And then let's talk some single shadows, because one of the things that I really expanded on this year was picking up some single shadows. First of all, let's talk ColourPop, because can we just talk about how many shades of single shadows they have released? These are some of the ones that I have picked up that I have absolutely loved. If you're noticing a theme here, it's because I was definitely looking for certain shades to fill in my single shadow collection, and what I realized was I was missing a lot of those sort of dusty pinks and mauves and purples and taupe colors. So that is a lot of what I picked up from ColourPop this year. They're just incredibly consistent. The mattes blend beautifully. They're pigmented, but they're not so pigmented that you need to be scared about picking up too much product. The satins are super creamy. The metallics are really metallic. I just think they're really consistent. They've done interesting duochromes. One shade in particular that I think is amazing is this purple shade, which is 143. I just think it is really pretty. It is what I have put in the outer corner of my eye today to really make that purple sort of pop. Purples, I've always heard, are very hard to do, and this one absolutely delivers. The staying power is great. They are very consistent between shade to shade, so if you find a color you like on their website, I don't think you're going to be disappointed by what you get. Let's stick with ColourPop. There is one Super Shock shadow in particular that I want to mention, and this is the shade Wattles. This is one of their satin Super Shock shadows, which I had never tried. I had tried a couple of matte ones, which I actually do like their matte ones. I think they blend into the crease really easily. And obviously I've tried their like sparkly ones and their metallic ones. This was a shade that I believe it was Kathleen Lights had recommended. It is a beautiful sort of, I would say, subdued salmon color. It's got nice warmth to it, but it doesn't have a high shine finish. And what I found is this actually looks beautiful blended into the crease. And I have worn this just in my crease and nothing else on my lid, and I think it's stunning. It also is a beautiful shade all over your lid and then just buffed out. It pairs really well with a ton of different shades. I traveled with this a ton this summer. It's been used and abused. I think it is probably one of my favorite shades from my ColourPop line and one that I reach for a ton. So if you haven't tried their satin formula, I think you'd be surprised at how versatile it is. It's not going to give you that metallic look, but it's definitely something that flexes easily between an all-over lid shade and something for the crease. One other cream product that I absolutely loved, and I actually picked this up at the end of last year, so I'm counting this because mostly I didn't really use it until January of this year. But this is from Charlotte Tilbury. This is one of her Eyes to Mesmerize and Marie Antoinette. This was one of those shades that I heard everybody and their mother talking about and loving, and now I understand why. It is that perfect sort of taupe taupey bronze color, and it's a perfect one shadow look. You put it all over your lids, buff it up through the crease, and you're done. It also pairs really well when you want a very foiled look on your, not foiled, but metallic look on your eyes. I think it's beautiful, beautiful color. It lasts all day. It's gorgeous. I really, really have enjoyed this one. When you're looking for something that is foiled though, one thing that I don't think it's talked about enough about are actually these little Tarte singles. So these are their Tarteist metallic shadows. I grabbed 2 shades this year. One is the shade Flask, which is this incredibly shiny silver that is just gorgeous on the lid. And the second is in the shade Shakedown, which is another one of those sort of taupey bronze shades that I can't seem to get enough of. I don't think I can describe to you how smooth these feel. These are at Ulta and Sephora. They tend to be on the bottom shelf, so I don't think they get noticed very often. What I would say is this is one of those rare formulas where it looks just as good and just as pigmented with a brush as with your finger. You know how with some metallic shadows, if you use your finger, it packs a lot more punch, and so sometimes to get that full saturation, you really do have to use your finger or use some Fix Plus. These shades, in my experience, don't need that. Your regular shader brush is going to pick up product and you're going to deposit it on your eye, and it's going to look every bit as pigmented as if you just used Fix Plus or used your finger to apply. I will say these are a little softer, so I don't necessarily think I would travel with these. I would be a little bit worried that the very soft texture might crumble on me. I don't know for sure, but just based on how soft the touch they feel, I worry a little bit that they're packed loosely in here and might not sustain getting dropped around in a suitcase. But I love these shades. If these go on sale, I might consider picking up more of them, but I would highly recommend both Shakedown and Flask if these are colors that are interesting to you. Last eyeshadow products I have to talk about are these Milani eyeshadow palettes. I put the matte one that launched this year in my Best of Beauty 2017 video, but I have to mention the other 3 that I think are just absolutely incredible. In fact, if you were to ask me who makes the best drugstore eyeshadow palettes, hands down, no question, it's going to be these Milani palettes. So this is the shade Must Have Neutrals 01, and this is a little bit more cool toned leading, but as you can see, you've really got everything you need to create a look. You've got 3 matte shades, 3 shimmer shades, things that would work for the brow bone, things that would work for liner. Absolutely gorgeous. And then if you like something that's a little bit more neutral or a little more golden, I recommend Bare Necessities. This also has 2 really great matte shades in here, as well as some really interesting shimmers. This would make a beautiful bronzy summer look. And then if you're more of a warm tone lover, the shade Earthy Elements, which I think was a lot of people's favorites, has beautiful warm neutral mattes, and then also that really vibrant orange. I just think these are beautiful palettes. They're consistent from one to the other. All that to say, I really do think that these are probably your best value at the drugstore, and the quality of these is every bit as good as any of the palettes that you purchase at Sephora from much higher end brands. So if you've not picked these up, or maybe now you see some colors that interest you more, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. All right, let's talk eyeliners. This was the year where I actually tried and found some formulas of eyeliners that I really, really loved. And I don't think that any of these are necessarily new out in the market, but they were new tries for me and I can't put them down. First up, for liquid liner, Physicians Formula eye boosters. Everybody's talked about these. Make sure if you like a black one, you're getting ultra black. The regular black one is just, it's sheer. It almost doesn't even apply well. So make sure you get the ultra black. I made that mistake the first time I bought this and I thought, why does everyone love this? This is awful. But then I also love the shade Deep Brown. These are a brush tip liner, so I prefer that style versus a felt tip. I find that felt tips tend to lose their saturation in the tip. They also tend to fray or get bent, and these just stay nice and consistent and easy to line, just like they were fresh out of the tube. And I've had both of these for, gosh, I think I've had these literally for 12 months and they are still going strong. So these just don't quit. They are absolutely worth it, and I think they are as good, if not better, than anything you could find at Sephora. One black liner that I wanted to mention, because I do enjoy wearing black liner sometimes in my inner rim, either on the bottom or on the top, to define my eyes. Today what I've done is actually put this liner in particular on my upper inner rim and then smudged a little bit in the corner here. But I have struggled with those staying on my waterline, upper and lower. I've had a real hard time finding something that would last. One that I've had pretty good luck with is actually from Milani. This is their Milani Stay Put Waterproof Eyeliner. This is in 03, hooked on espresso. And it's just a traditional pencil. You're gonna have to sharpen it, but for some reason, once this sets, it really does set. It locks down. I don't have that smudging that kind of happens with many other liners at the end, by the end of the day, where it's kind of bled off of my inner rim and down below my eyes. That doesn't happen with this. And I also think it's creamy enough that I can use my like an angled liner brush and actually pick some up on the tip of this and use that angled liner brush to apply eyeliner. I like liquid liner, but sometimes I feel like it can be very harsh, and sometimes I want a softer edge, and so that is one of my favorite application techniques, is to use that angled liner brush to actually pick up product from here and then smudge it onto my lash line. Another product that is similar in the sense that I can do that and it's nice and creamy but then sets down are these pencils from Julep. This is the Julep When Pencil Met Matte Long Lasting Eyeliner. They have some really interesting shimmer shades, and then they also have some interesting matte shades. Their shimmers, I think, are beautiful. They look really pretty buffed out into your eyeshadow look. Sometimes when I don't want a really harsh eyeliner, I grab a shade that's kind of in the same tone family as the eyeshadow that I'm wearing and smudge that. I think that the burgundy in here is beautiful. They make my favorite navy blue liner. One of the more interesting shades that I think is really wearable and soft on an everyday basis is this shade in Smoky Taupe Shimmer. I'm wearing the silver shade in my inner rim today, and I also think that their Gilded Gold Shimmer is one of the most beautiful, bright champagne golds I've ever seen. It is almost one of those like gold silver hybrid shades. These really do lock down. They're super creamy, easy to blend out, but then once they set, they don't budge. So this is just a set of liners that I've really enjoyed, and I just don't think get enough attention out there in the beauty community. And then, because I'm a total late bloomer, this is the CoverGirl Clump Crusher Water Resistant. Everyone seems to talk about this. For some reason, I've just got on the bandwagon this year, and I don't know why I never did. So this is now what I use every single day on my lower lash line. I'm on my 4th tube of this year. I really do think it is completely smudge proof. I do not worry about this ever leaving weird black smudges on my lower lashes. That used to happen to me all the time. This really does prevent it. I think the wand is nice and silicone-y. It's very easy to apply because it's not too big. I do think this makes a decent mascara on the upper lashes, and I will, like kind of the name implies, if my lashes are getting too clumpy from my other mascara, I will actually use this and run through my lashes to kind of break up those clumps. Thank you, Clump Crusher. There's a reason that everybody loves this, and now I'm totally on board. This is from Essence. This is their Cool Nude lipstick. They did a nude line. This is in 05 Cool Nude. It is just the most beautiful, I would say just traditional satin cream lipstick, but the shade is just gorgeous. It is kind of one of my perfect nudes. They say it's cool nude, and I definitely agree. It definitely leans more mauve than maybe your traditional warm apricot-y nude. But I think this is just a really cool color, and I think these are only like $2.99. I like that this whole range, the bullet lipstick itself is actually the color of the lipstick, so it makes it very easy to spot what color it is. Hey, sometimes it's just easy to put a bulleted lipstick in your bag and reapply as needed. So the other product that I had tried, because I had seen a ton of beauty bloggers in London talk about this, was from Clarins. This is the Instant Light Natural Lip Perfector. So this is kind of like a lip balm / gloss. It has a really interesting cushion applicator. This is the shade 7. It has a wonderful vanilla cake cupcake scent. I mean, it smells amazing. It's lightweight, gives a light tint to your lips, but it's super hydrating. So this is just one of those very easy throw on your lips without a mirror kind of lipstick formula or lip formulas. Great for travel. I frequently have this in my carry-on bag too. So it's going to give you nice moisture and hydration, but the formula isn't sticky. It feels very creamy and light. It's definitely kind of a gloss chapstick hybrid, I guess is what I would say. I can definitely see why so many people love them. And then the final lip product that I tried that I'd never tried before that I got very addicted to this year are actually the Marc Jacobs glosses. So as someone who has never historically liked gloss, for me to find a formula that I was this excited about was kind of a shock. I really don't enjoy sticky glosses. I don't like this heavy goopy effect, and I know sometimes those sticky glosses are the ones that are going to give you the most longevity, but I hate that feeling. This is a really interesting formula. It's a gel, so it's very lightweight. It has a really nice slip to it. There's absolutely no stickiness. It just glides on, and they have a really interesting range of colors. So they have definitely some more sheer toned ones that have some sparkle in them, ones that are really good for layering with lipsticks, and then they also make some more opaque just cream glosses that have absolutely no shimmer in them. I picked up the shade Sugar Sugar, which is the one that is probably their most popular shade. It's probably my least favorite all the ones I have, only because I think it's just a little too nude for me. I do wear it, but I just think it is a little bit too light. If I'm looking for a nude gloss, and you wouldn't think this is nude by looking at it, my favorite is actually the shade French Tickler, which has got sort of a peachy undertone to it. It's got a light shimmer running through it, a light bluish shimmer actually running through it. This is probably the one that I have used the most this year. The shade Enamored is one of the glosses that is more opaque, and you can definitely wear this one on your own. It's kind of a really interesting cool toned. For summer, I was definitely using the shade Enamored. It's got that peach with the glitter in it. I think this is a really fun spring and summer shade. And then a really cool shade that I had sampled is the shade Rebel Rebel. This is a deeper nude that has a really cool blue and maybe like green sparkle through it. It's a really unique color, and I think this is one that really you can wear on its own and it still gives enough color to your lips, or you can definitely pair this with deeper nudes and other shades as a topper. These are glossy, but without being goopy. I think if you are someone who hates lip gloss, it might be worth the splurge to pick up one of these. All right, so those were all of my new to me products in 2017 that I have really enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below if you have tried and loved any of these, or if you have any product suggestions for me that you'd like to see me try and demo in the coming year. I love discovering new products. It is really fun for me. I think it's one of my favorite things to do is to go swatch and try new products. So let me know down in the comments what you are interested in, what you've loved this year, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos from me, and also on the wrap up of my Best in Beauty 2017. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.